Explain, no.
Okay. Welcome back to the From the Fabricator Podcast. I'm your host, Max Perlstein. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey through the glass and glazing industry. It's a great one. It's also cold. That's why I'm so bundled up right now. Anyway, we've got two great interviews coming up. But before we get to that, I have to thank the gang from FHC and tell you that increased quality, lower pricing, and now the best warranty in the game. FHC has announced that its frameless shower door hardware is now available at all new, everyday low pricing, the lowest pricing in the company's history. Customers can now enjoy deep discounts and absolute peace of mind knowing that FHC shower hinges are tested to over 1 million cycles and are backed by an industry-leading 15-year warranty. At a time of unwieldy tariffs and increased inflation, FHC is going to bat for glazers. Shop FHC frameless hardware today and see why more and more glazers are choosing FHC, FHC-USA.com. Thank you so much to that group for sponsoring this episode of From the Fabricator. Big week in the industry coming up, BEC in Las Vegas. So some of you are watching this or listening to this before you get to Vegas. Some will probably listen after. It's going to be a heck of an event. I look forward to seeing everybody there. And if I haven't met you, grab me, please. Say, hey, I'd like to say hi. I might be running around, but I want to say as hi to as many people as I can. So on to today's interviews, this episode's interviews. We start off with Vipul Bhagat of Skyline. And I've probably screwed up his last name 25 times, but Vipul is unbelievable. I say love it so many times during this podcast because he just connected. Fantastic guy. And excited for you all to hear that. And after that, we stay in the Windy City. Skyline's located in Chicago, and so is Clover Architectural Products. Good friend Tom O'Malley, recurring guest of the program. He's back again. We kind of cover a bunch of different subjects, including architects' trends, COVID, after COVID sort of thing, education, talk a little BEC as well. And so it's fun to always catch up with Tom, the industry's nicest guy. So stay tuned for that. But we start off with Vipul. I think you're going to enjoy it. We end with Tom, and then I'll be back on the other side with some TV choices. Thank you. Check it out. Okay. Kicking off this edition of From the Fabricator, I've got Vipul Bhagat, President and CEO of Skyline Glass. See them online at skyline.glass. He's also an NGA Board of Directors member. Vipul, thank you so much for joining me.
Max, it's a pleasure to be here. It's good to see you, my friend.
It's great to see you, and I'm thrilled I get to talk to you. I know you just a tiny bit. We've had a couple conversations, but this is a great opportunity for me to get to know you a lot better, and then the rest of the industry as well. So I'm thrilled to kind of start picking your brain.
Yeah, looking forward to the next hour with you.
Wonderful. So let's start with your journey. I always, every guest I start with it, it's funny. This is kind of, one of the most popular. The first question and the last question are my most popular questions amongst my audience because they love to hear people's path. And then the last question is always about, what's the forecast? But so let's talk about your path, your journey, where you were born, grew up, and how you made it to the wild and wonderful world of the glass industry.
Yeah, so thanks. I grew up in the suburbs of Chicago, and I always wanted to be an architect since I was a kid. And somehow I managed to do that.
Nice.
Because you go from being an astronaut to a firefighter to all the things, right? And then you land on something and then you got to do it. And anyways, I was fortunate enough to go to the Illinois Institute of Technology, which was a very robust architecture school.
Yes.
Still is to this day. And I got my education there. And then as I was going through that, I had mixed feelings about architecture. It's there's the business side of that. And you start learning those things because all of my professors were practicing architects at the big firms in Chicago, Skidmore, Owings and Merrill, and Perkins and Will, and all the big names, right? And this was in the 80s and 90s, and I came out of it like, well, what am I going to do with this now? Am I going to sit? And this is before CAD, right? This is before cell phones. We still had drawing boards and did everything with a pencil and a T-square and all the things, right? And so
old school.
Yeah, that was my 5 years there was like all hand drawings, and I still have them to this day. So it's
nice.
kind of cool. It's all art now, right?
Yeah, it is. It's special.
And then maybe someday I'll be famous, and then it'll be famous.
I love it. You will. Keep on, hold on to it. Hold on to it.
But in any case, during my fifth year, as I was, starting to put together my portfolio to start interviewing and all the things, I came to the realization, like, what else is out there that can stem from this education, right?
Right.
And I happened on Skyline, and it was an intriguing place back then.
Hmm.
About 20 people doing a lot of hand worked art for thematic and hospitality. And I mean, we did things for cruise ships and restaurants and,
Right.
that kind. And glass was one of the mediums.
Hmm.
But our glass was always very artistic. So it was hand carved, everything was painted and etched by hand and all the things, right? No equipment.
Right.
And these were artists, right? These guys are the guys that when I started there that were working there, were sculptors and mural painters and the like. So that kind of helped me to understand. So I got to do drafting. I got to do a construction of the work that I drew, which was
Right.
cool. And then I got to install it sometimes. And,
Nice.
so that was I got to see every aspect of the work that we did. And that was more enjoyable for me. So I got to go in my t-shirt and jeans, right, to
Yeah.
work. And I do all of it. And that was fun
Yeah.
for, a young kid out of college, right?
I like it. Now, before we continue on, I'm just curious. I'm a lot older than you, so I don't know if this reference will
A
work.
year or two.
No, probably more. But when you said you grew up and you wanted to be an architect, see, like when I was growing up, the only architect I knew was Mike Brady from the Brady Bunch.
Yeah,
Yeah,
me
he was like
too.
the architect. I was
Yeah.
curious if that was a part of your thought
You know
process.
what? It was actually all about Mike Brady in his den at
Yep,
his house
with the models. Yeah,
doing the models of the same house. If you now that you go back to it, he actually only worked on one project his entire career
I love it.
because it was on TV.
Yep, I
But in
love
any
it.
case, that's what I that was my kind of motivation, right? Mike
Yeah,
Brady was sort of a mentor,
I love
if
it.
you will. Working with all of his kids in his house and, bothering him in his den where he worked. And that's what I thought architecture was. And growing up in the suburbs, when I took drafting class in high school, it was not much different than what you saw there on TV, right?
True,
And
true.
that's what I knew it to be. And so because of the tutelage that I got in college, it actually was not that at all, right? It was
Right.
completely something else. I came to that realization, like, this is, there's so many other things here. And so, I developed kind of a positive and a negative feeling about all of it, just the stressors of, that career path, right?
Yeah,
And I said, well, I don't know if that's how I want to progress in my life, right? But again, I wouldn't change anything.
sure.
I think architecture was a great 5 years. It was a 5 year program back then, and it was awesome. I wouldn't change that for anything, and because it led me to here,
Yeah, yeah, no, I
right?
love it.
Yeah,
I love it. So the architectural world loses out. We win as the glass world, so that's good.
yeah.
And so you get into Skyline, and as I wrote to you when I was kind of laying out the thing, the questions, I always knew it as Skyline Design. So you were there when it was Skyline Design, and so
Yeah.
talk about you get in there and you go. How did you go from sweeping floors up to running the place?
So okay, so that's a 31-year time span that we're
It's a
talking.
journey.
30.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's 30. Talk about a
yeah,
journey, right?
yep,
Uh, and so yeah, I started doing all the things, right? Like you said, sweeping the floors, doing some drafting, assembling product, building it. We have a wood shop and a metal shop and all those things and seeing all that. And the fact that we all were, I don't like to use the word family in the workplace because that's not what it is. I mean, we're running a business, but
right.
we ran it in such a synchronized way. And this is Charlie Rizzo, who founded the company
Hmm.
and was the president before me for 41 plus years before I became the president, and his partner, Nick Corriero. And the two of them, had creative backgrounds in
Yeah.
their upbringings. And this is what they did. And, it just, I guess I kind of brought a left-brained methodology to the
Right.
business. right? When I came and I said, wow, we should get a computer that has CAD on it, so we're not hand drawing. We
There
should
you
get,
go. Yeah.
so technology was a thing. This was like in the mid 90s, right? So again, no cell phones yet. Like
Right.
I think it was the brick phone, right? The
Yeah.
Motorola
The big ones that
big
came
phone
out
that
there.
had like, yeah, and then we all used one phone, like 10 people used one. We would just, who's going out today? I'm going to take the phone, right? We didn't have our
Exactly.
own. And it was just modernizing things, right? So
Yeah.
soon after we got there, we started getting into more glass work.
Right.
And our first couple of pieces of equipment was a stencil cutter. It was a Leica. Leica makes the really high-end cameras.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they had a division that made flatbed plotters and cutting tables. And so we purchased one of those, and we purchased an etching machine, which now, you can get them, all day. We
Sure.
have 5 of them now. But in any case, we still have that first one that we bought
Nice.
almost 30 years ago. So
That's when quality was quality too. So that
well,
makes sense. Yeah.
and so we saw the kind of the light there as far
Yeah.
as, glass work. We started getting corporate projects. We did Northern Trust Bank here in Chicago,
Right.
and all these law offices, they all wanted privacy back then.
Yeah.
And we had the cool stuff, right? And
Right.
and so we learned that by going to architects and designers, we would get more of that work,
Yeah.
right? This is where specifications come from.
Right.
Right. And so being creative, but having a product offering that fits, in the design kind of industry, that's where our success has come from all these years, right? And has been building. And yeah, I mean, we still do that all day, every day today.
Yeah.
Our main focus is to build relationships with the architecture and design community, and keep those relationships strong so that we can continue to develop products with them, and specifically glass,
Yeah.
right? Architectural glass. That's the business we're in. So we want to make everything out of glass, right? I could make the whole thing if so in all of that time span now we can do exteriors and with bird safe, because
Yep.
that's a big important thing today.
Yep.
We just got 2 opportunities yesterday for bird safe,
Yeah.
and so that part of our business is growing. We're getting into, as part of what I've been doing for the last several years. I think COVID really was a turning point. It was difficult for us to get through those years
Right.
because, we're a fabricator only for ourselves, and we're
Right.
more a decorator of
Gotcha.
glass. That's our main business. And those aren't things you need. You want them, but we get VE'd out. Like
Yeah.
getting VE'd out, value engineered out, is like every day for us here.
Yeah.
Right.
You're
It's
high
always,
end. Absolutely. Yeah.
yeah, you're high end, and we're not even high price. It's just
Right.
we make a great product.
Yeah.
Right. And it's an art product. And so, the art budget sometimes gets hit first, right?
Right.
And then everybody goes for plain Jane. So, those are challenges we have. But, we've added a lot of products. And part of, what I've done is grow with the company and become involved in all aspects of the business, right? So you were talking about that journey.
Yeah.
And I got interested in marketing and sales and financials and HR. And so, I'm leading the cause here on all fronts because I'm very interested in that. So now it's turned into kind of, what are the best things for the business and all of the things inside of it, mainly the people, of course, right? That's
Sure.
our biggest asset is our staff,
100%.
as
Absolutely.
always. I mean,
Yeah.
if they weren't here in the other rooms of this building that I'm sitting in, we'd be nothing, right? So
Right.
it's that they show up every day and they do their job really, really well.
I love it. I love it. And so when did you ascend to president and CEO? What was the
So I
time frame
think
on
it's
that?
been a couple of years now.
Okay.
So I've been, again, fortunate to not be part of the private equity model that is floating around a lot out there
Right.
now, because that's what some businesses have to do, right? If
Yeah.
there is no end game strategy for business owners, like what do? They have to sell it to somebody. I mean, we're unfortunately not all going to live forever, right? And so
Right.
we have to adjust in our lives as we age and want to do other things or what have you, right? And so because of being here as long as I have, because of the fact that I'm wholly invested in everything that we're doing here.
Yeah.
Our founders, Charlie Rizzo and Nick Corriero, these are conversations that I wasn't afraid to have with them. Like, what are we doing?
Sure.
Right? Because I want to keep doing this. This is all I know. This is what I want to do. And they felt comfortable in handing over the steering wheel, right? And like, it's been a really it's fortuitous, right? I mean, I'm putting in all this work. They recognized it.
Yeah.
And now they're allowing me to buy into the business, right? Which I've been doing. And I want to continue it. A lot of things
Sure.
that I did 31 years ago that they did 43 years ago, 42 years ago, we're still doing those things, right? And so it's important for me to continue that path in some ways.
Crucial, crucial. Absolutely. I got Vipul Bhagat, president and CEO of Skyline. Everything he's been talking about, you can see at skyline.glass. Skyline.glass is the website. And I just have a question on COVID. That had to affect you guys worse than the norm because so much of what you do is office interiors at that time, right? I mean,
Yeah, well, and the office interior industry,
yeah,
private, not private. I mean, it keeps doing that on its
yeah,
own, whether there's a pandemic or the
right,
economy is doing well or not, the trends, right?
yeah,
And design trends. And so we're in that mix. And so when the pandemic happened, the fortunate thing for Skyline is that more than half of our business is healthcare
okay, that
driven.
picked it up, yeah,
So we were able to maintain some level of business acumen and activity because of where we sat in
sure,
terms of projects, and we became an essential business.
hmm
The state of Illinois awarded us that category,
huge, very
so
huge
we
at
were
that
able to
time,
maintain
yeah,
our staff.
yep,
We did have to keep some staff at home just for safety reasons.
right,
We were fortunate to get the PPP monies that were offered twice,
yeah,
which we used all for our staff
yep,
fully.
yeah,
I didn't buy a private jet with mine.
yeah,
Uh, we used it for payroll, right?
perfect. What
Uh,
it was meant for, right,
what it was meant for, right? And
right,
so, so we had the benefit of being awarded those things twice, and the employee retention credits and all the things
yeah.
we've been able to access and use, to keep our business moving.
Good,
So
good,
so that was a benefit. And then, we're growing out of that now, finally. It
yeah,
took a while. I
yeah,
mean, it lasted, you think back to COVID, that was 5 years ago in March,
I know, it's
right?
crazy, yeah,
And,
yeah,
and so it took us 3 years really
yeah,
to get out of it and then really understand where the business is going. So yeah, I'll be very blunt and honest here. We were still down for 2024, but maintained it enough
yeah,
to, stay here. We're not going anywhere. But we were down about 15%. But for whatever reason, well, not whatever reason, all the things, right? The world, the economy,
right,
people, politics, you name it, all the things that have reasons to get us more work. We're on a trend now where I'm actually slightly concerned about the pace and the metric that we're on. We really want to have control over our lead times and quality, right? That's number
yeah,
one. We do not diminish quality for any reason, right? That's like we built this company on that, and I will not ever suppress the level of quality that we've maintained all these years. So that's, number one. Everyone here knows it that works for us. And it's an important aspect of our business. And so we're getting really busy.
good, good,
I'm happy to share that we are the busiest we've been in the history of the company.
wonderful,
So
wonderful,
that's 40 plus years. And we're very excited and proud and honored and lucky and all the good words you can think of. And we're running with it, right? We're doing it. We've hired some more really great staff
good,
from sales management and salespeople and internal people that we need to get that work done. So
great,
it's great to be able to hire people. Usually you hear when you look at politics and economies and things like that, December and January, you hear about layoffs because
Oh yeah.
cash flows and, bonus payouts and all the
Year
things.
end. Yeah.
We're fortunate to be busy enough to, bring people in and hire, and we're on a hiring mode now.
Fantastic.
Yeah,
Fantastic.
so it's good. And so we see that for the foreseeable future.
Good.
So, how we're quoting volumes are up. We've established some really great relationships with companies out there that are like-minded in the furniture industry. We post, if you go on our social media, you can see,
Sure.
all the things that I'm allowed to share and
Right.
not any of the things that I'm not, right?
Right.
But it's been really great. So all of this effort for the last couple of years is paying off in the best ways possible.
Yeah. Yeah. And also, you not sacrificing quality for speed pays off too. That's huge. So many companies are like, we got to get it out the door, and they cut corners and they
Oh, I
sacrifice
absolutely
the
agree.
quality. And you're adamant, like, no, I don't care how long it takes. We have to do it perfect.
Right. And those are challenges still, right?
Yes, of
So
course.
some that doesn't fit some projects. Like, if you need to be, in occupancy on a certain date and we can't do that, doing it faster isn't gonna help anybody.
No.
And
Yeah.
and so, we've had to say no to things which I don't necessarily enjoy, but I also don't want to fail at something,
Right.
and we still, I don't want to sit here and say we're perfect, right? And we have, at any given time, we're working through 200 to 300 projects here.
It's glass too. I mean, you can't
Yeah.
be perfect. I
Yeah.
mean, it's
Yeah.
always
Anybody
it's always a
says, "Oh yeah, we
process.
don't have any problems," I'd want to talk to them, right? Because,
Exactly. Exactly.
we deal with things, but we seldom deal with problems.
Good. Good. Good.
And that's an important part of, how we do the business, right? And then when we have problems, we all get involved. I get involved.
Yeah.
I want to make sure that that customer comes back to us.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear that I'm never going to do business with you again.
It's the worst. Yeah.
Because we had a little glitch, right? And the glitch is usually, it doesn't get there on time is most of it. And a lot of what we do is very art driven, right? So it's not just a clear piece of glass that you can, stick in there quick. And if it's not perfect, it's okay. Everything that we make is scrutinized to the highest levels. It's
Yeah.
got to be perfect.
Yeah.
It's got to line up with the next panel, the pattern. The colors have to match, for all the things that we print. And yeah, I mean, it's almost like we've put ourselves into the most challenging thing you could do with glass, right? Like,
Yeah.
intentionally.
Yeah, you did pick the easiest path, but that's
No,
also,
no, no.
you have the right mindset for it. So talking
Yeah,
about
and so you
the
have to work in the right ways to be able to, stay in business and keep doing it.
yeah, and so on that note, what's hot in your world, product and vertical wise? What's keeping you busy?
So, like I said to you before, I think healthcare is
Hmm.
a very important vertical market for us. It's continuing to be. It's going to be that way this year and the next year. I mean, we're quoting projects into 2027, 2028,
Nice.
which is a great thing to be able to do. Our switch glass product is really getting into larger volumes. We are currently working on Rutgers Cancer Center in New Jersey,
Nice.
whole building. We've got all of our products in there, from patterning to printing to switchable glass. So that's a huge project. We're probably 2/3, 3/4 of the way through. They're going to open, I think, late spring. So that's a massive project we've been working on for months. But
Great.
we're getting bigger projects. That's what's hot. Is
Wonderful.
is
Good.
there's work out there. Um, the challenge is you got to go look for it, though.
Yeah, it's not going to land in your lap.
No,
No.
no. If you're going to sit here and wait for it, it's not happening.
Yeah.
You
Even
know?
with your reputation, which is sterling, it's still not going to land in your lap.
No, no. You
Yeah.
got to get the word out.
Yeah.
I personally travel.
Yeah.
I'm not shy about that. I go where I need to go to visit clients, to close deals, whatever the needs are. I'm there, kind of leading the way, right, for our teams to be
Yeah.
able to, we have to support. We have, I think now 21 independent sales representative groups
Hmm.
nationwide. So, there's feet on the street every day
Right.
talking about Skyline, but we need to support that.
Yeah.
So that's something that I'm doing a lot, even myself with our sales managers.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. And again, skyline.glass, and you can also go to LinkedIn and see Skyline's LinkedIn account, and definitely check that out because everything you're saying, I know you guys are very proud in your posting,
Yes.
pictures, and so check that out. You are I know you're a jack of all trades, but I
Yeah.
consider you a pure marketer. I mean, I love the way you have a passion for marketing. And so my question is, now you're part of NGA. We're going to talk about that in a few minutes, but how can the
Yeah.
industry do better? I think you already mentioned what you guys do really well with getting on the street, but what are the things the industry can do better?
Well, I think it's what I just said, right? You have to go out there and get it.
Yep.
If you know what you want and you know that it's possible, I think the way that I found that out was just when I started going out, right? And I would hear, oh, these territories have a big downturn, right? There's not much work happening. And I thought to myself, well, how could that be, right? And so I would go to the places where we were getting the least amount of business, like
Yeah.
major cities.
Yeah.
And visiting the people, I would find that there's actually work there. And they just, they're so busy sometimes they forget about you or they don't think of you and then they have to scramble at the end and all of the things, right? And I think that in our industry in glass,
Yeah.
there's so many different layers, right?
Yeah.
There's the manufacturers of glass, there's the fabricators of glass, there's the guys like me who decorate glass, and there's the glazing industry.
Yeah.
There's so many layers, and we all somehow work together, manage to work together, but how do we get more work, right?
Yeah.
What I've been doing is collaborating and partnering with some of these companies. Let's go do these things together,
I like it. I
right?
like it. Yep.
Like, we have relationship with Vitro and Trulight and Oldcastle and you name it, right? We support their businesses. But when I get involved, it's what you said about me. I didn't even know I had this in me, but it was just like, here, I got to connect with these. What are they doing?
Yeah.
Where are their challenges? Where are their successes coming from? And that's what has kind of steered me in the ways that you talked about me. I didn't go to school for marketing.
It's come naturally for you though, my friend.
Yeah, no, I'm very fortunate to
Yeah.
be able to be involved in it, right? It's one of those things like I just look for challenges.
Yeah.
What don't I know how to do? Because that's what I want to go for. Because I don't like to be bored. I like
I, lo-
stuff. I need stuff to do.
I love it. I love it. Keep rolling. All right. So to
Yeah.
mix it up a little bit, a fun one, role model for you. If you have a role model, if so, who and why?
So it's definitely Charlie Rizzo, our founder. I mean,
Yep.
without him, I wouldn't be sitting here talking to you today.
Yeah. That
Uh,
you spent pretty much a gigantic chunk of your life with him.
yeah, yeah, and he has, I never in my wildest dreams thought I would be in a position like this, right? Um, I mean, I talked to him yesterday.
I
I
love it.
talk to him almost every day still.
I love it.
Right? We just either by text or, he's pretty retired, right? And
Hmm.
and and it took him a while to like step away. It's a hard thing to
It's
do.
not
I'm not
easy.
looking forward to the day that it comes for me, however far out that is.
Yeah.
But he's come full circle as well. And so now the things that we talk about are more generalized and kind of top level, right? Like, hey, what's great and what's not? Not like, hey, what happened on that project? And who's the sales rep here? And did we get that close that one? So we went from that to like, what kind of equipment do you think, just because he's still interested,
Yeah.
right? And he wants to know about things I'm doing because I mean this has been his baby for a long time that he
Sure.
raised, and now I'm getting to do that, and it's like an amazing thing. I
Love it.
again, I just as I'm talking about it, I'm kind of choking up a little bit
Yeah.
because it's like where how did I even get here,
Yeah,
right?
that and you know what, my friend, that's awesome because not only do you have a great role model, but you're still able to talk to him, be able to
Yeah.
share things and it's just made such an impact on your life. So it's that's
Oh yeah, I
fantastic.
mean he's still at that level. I mean he's an advisor to me.
Yeah.
He's actually our chairman of the board still. So we set that up on for a reason, right?
Yeah.
So that it's an official thing, that it's not just me kind of randomly
Getting with
texting
him.
things,
Right.
like, so we meet about it with also with Nick, our other founder, and so we go through those things, right? Just because you need to bounce things off,
Yeah.
and who am I going to do that with, right? I
Right.
mean, there's all of these like CEO groups out there and
Right.
executive, kind of C-suite things, but I've tried a few of those things, but for whatever reason, it's different industries, so you can talk about some things,
Right.
but when you really got to get down to the brass tacks, you need somebody who gets it.
Yeah. And
And
somebody who's
so,
lived it, somebody who's walked that path.
yeah,
Yeah.
and someday I won't be able to do that, obviously, and so what we're doing is we have a wonderful team of people here
Yeah.
that, we're uh, uh, teaching to fit these, roles, right? As we
Hmm.
grow and adapt to new things. And, I'm all, I do business development, I do marketing, but I also like to dabble in product development. We're working on some cool stuff where technology combines with glass, and, some of that stuff that you see on in the movies, right?
Yeah.
Uh, uh, you watch movies, and then, the whole piece of glass becomes a screen, and, there's stuff out there.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's not all figured out yet, but I'm looking for it, and I want to make sure I know about it, so that, if it turns into, an affordable,
Right.
kind of a attainable thing, I want to be able to look at that.
I'm
Right.
not betting against you. That's for sure.
Yeah. No, I
I'm
appreciate
right
that.
with you. So
Yeah.
so
I'm
so
gonna find it.
you yeah, you're on top of it. So you're one of the newer members of the board of the NGA. You're not the
Yes.
newest anymore. Joey Aragon now has that has to
Yep.
wear the rookie
Can't
hat.
wait to see Joey in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, so he gets to carry the luggage or whatever
Yeah. Right.
the orientation is,
Right.
or being the rookie, being the freshman, so you guys can pick on him.
Yeah.
But how's it been for you? How have you liked it? How have you adjusted being on the board of directors of the
So
National Glass Association?
so I first of all, the other members
Hmm.
are incredibly wonderful, amazing
It's a
people.
great group. It's a
I
great group.
I did not expect the level of attention, care, hospitality, uh,
Class.
class,
Yeah,
being able to bond with them. I mean, it's like we knew each other,
yeah.
within, the first moments of meeting. And we've been NGA members at Skyline, so,
Hmm.
there is some familiarity with, some of the other members, and, I knew a couple of the board members from before and whatnot, just from crossing paths.
Yeah.
But it's the first meeting was like awesome, no pressure, everything was outlined and like straightforward, focused. We got through the meeting. I'm like, I'm getting to the second one in 2 weeks, and I can't wait,
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
Vegas, right? We're going to do this again. And I'm like really looking forward to it, because there's an agenda. And since then I've had, I've been on a few calls. We've been on emails talking about the things we need to talk about. Right.
Sure.
And so that's a pleasure,
Love it.
right?
Yeah,
I'm
that's great.
honored to be able to be involved at that level, right? Just not just what I do for Skyline, but what we can all do for the glass industry.
And that's been my beat for a long time, is the industry, and I'm really grateful for people like you and the rest of the board and
Yeah.
Nicole Harris, for the way they
Oh,
stand up for
Nicole's
our
best.
industry.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
And,
no,
it goes back to the last question you asked,
yeah,
what can the industry do?
yeah,
Be participatory with one another,
yeah,
whether it's NGA or not, even, don't, there's no animosity here amongst us, right? Like, talk to one another and share your thoughts and feelings. I think that is, like, I mean, the simplest thing you can do,
yeah.
right? Be direct with people. That's what has brought success to Skyline for me personally. Just, I'm on a mission to meet everyone I can meet, and I got a lot of people to go still. So
Well, you'll be the belle of the ball at BEC this year. So,
yeah, I can't
yeah,
wait. I'm really excited about getting down there and spending time with everybody.
it's going to be a good time. Going to be a good time. A few more questions for you, because I know you're
Yeah.
a busy man. Business or industry wise, I know that there are things that keep us both up at night. What about you? What has you a little bit in angst about our world, our business world?
Well, as of late, it's, political reasons, right? I mean,
Yeah,
there's obviously a lot of
lots of unknowns. Yeah,
unknowns out there, and, we function in a global scale.
Hmm.
right? Whether it be supply chain, it's not just Canada, Mexico. You got companies like Vitro in Mexico. We
Hmm.
have Walker Glass that we are partnered with, and
Sure.
a
Canada.
customer, and in Montreal, and all those things. Like we get things from, all of our equipment is from Europe,
Yeah.
right? We everything that we use for fabrication. I think we have one machine that is American made. Everything else is European made.
Right.
And so getting parts and supplies, and we get interlayers from overseas for our
Right.
Lamy products, right? And so what does that all mean? That is a little, worrisome.
Yeah.
Nothing, I mean, as of today, everything's fine, but will it change to, Monday? I don't know. And so that's bothers me a little bit.
Sure.
I mean, at the end of the day, let's be honest, everybody's going to pass the cost on. So whatever it is, it just, goes through the funnel, right?
Yeah. I think the unknown is the more bothersome thing because it's put into place and then it's pulled back and then it's put into place and then it's threatened and you just
Well,
don't
I
know what
know.
you're up against.
I think there was something happened yesterday. I didn't get a chance to read last night. I usually like to look at the news and I'll keep on task, and I didn't yesterday because it was just a long day. I didn't bother. But like, what changed yesterday that I should be like thinking about this morning?
And by the time this airs, it'll
Yeah,
be changed 10 more times.
yeah. Or
You know.
maybe nothing will happen.
Yeah.
Because
Exactly.
everyone will come to the realization that if you do this, it'll mess things up so much that it can't. Now, what happens to commerce? I mean,
There's
that's
a
what we're
lot.
talking about here. Commerce,
Yeah.
right? That's a big word,
It's a big play. And,
right?
but the speed of change, Katie Devlin did a presentation at the Glass
Yeah,
conference in Carlsbad. And I mean, every day I think she was having to change it because certain things
right,
were, being announced
right.
and being
And,
changed. And
and honestly, it's not fair,
no, it's
really.
tough. It's so tough. Yeah, absolutely.
Because we're not. I am. Not a billionaire, so
Yeah.
I can't just feel like, whatever happens, happens, right? And so those guys can think and do, and make the decisions, and are they doing it in the best ways possible for everybody?
Yeah.
But
It,
maybe they don't care. I don't know. And I'm more of a centrist,
yeah.
in terms of political kind of viewpoints, because everyone is right and wrong. There's no reason to be an extremist on your viewpoints, but things have to be balanced,
Yeah. And
right?
for me, it's visibility. I just
Yeah,
like to know what I'm seeing up ahead. I like to, I'm a planner. I'm also a worrier. I like when I go to,
yeah,
if I'm going to a city, like I'm going to Dallas to speak at the, Texas Glass Association. And I've already, on Google Maps, studied my hotel to the
yeah. I do the same
restaurant.
thing. Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
nuts like that. So I
Am I
need that
getting an Uber? Am
visibility.
I getting a cab? Should I
E-
rent a car?
exactly.
I'm that guy.
Exactly. And so
Which
I'm just,
hotel am I staying at?
uh,
Do they have bed bugs in any review? Like I got to read all 300 of them to make sure.
you and I are exactly alike. So I need that visibility. So if it's
Yeah.
going to be a 25% tariff, all right, let's do it. If it's going to be this, it's going to be that.
Right.
I just need to know,
Right, right.
you
And
know.
when does that come into play? And
Yeah,
what are we
exactly.
supposed to do with that? So that because it's all pass through,
Yeah,
right? At the end of the day,
yeah.
everybody's going to be affected by it.
And
What is commerce going to stop because there's a tariff now? I highly doubt that.
yeah,
You
yeah.
know.
No, there's no way. So this is
Yeah.
it's an interesting world, and who knows? By the time I visit with you at PEC, we might have some clarity,
God
and
only knows what you and I are going to have discussions about, right? Maybe we'll do an
exactly.
update to this video,
We
right?
may have to. We may have to. I've done that in the past with certain guests that I've had to bring them back on for updates. So we may
Yeah.
have to revisit this. I would
I'll
love
wear
it.
the same shirt so it looks like we knew what we were talking about.
Yeah, well, hey, that's what they do on HGTV. They make all the people wear the same clothes every
Right.
day,
We'll
and
do
then
that too.
yeah, they film it over like 2 weeks, and it's the same thing. All right, so I love it. This is great. Last question for you. 2025, like I mentioned at the beginning of the
Yeah.
podcast, most popular questions are about you and your journey, and then what you see. So and I just talked about visibility. So get out your crystal ball. What are you seeing, people? What are you seeing in our future here?
So like I've said over the course of this entire conversation, the future is what you make of it, right? You can't wait for it to happen necessarily. You have to go and find the things that you want
Hmm.
that affect you, or that are important to you, or are meaningful, whatever they are, whether they're relationships or projects that you want to be involved with. You have to go get it.
Yeah.
right? I'm the kind of guy that doesn't take no for an answer. I love it when people say no. I say, well, what does that word mean? Right? Is that no forever? Is that no today? Is it?
Where did you get that though? Because I can't do that. The door gets shut in my face and I'm like I'm off. Where did you get that kind of that thick skin to deal with the no?
I think that's just from getting too many no's. Like right? I don't think like if you hear a no and you do just walk away. Like at some point you're like, this is not acceptable,
Yeah.
right? And so what happens is now, and people know me. I do get some eye rolls sometimes. When they bring me into the conversation, like, oh no.
He's not going away. Not
Yeah,
going.
because
Yeah.
I'm not giving up, right? Because I
Yeah.
know what's good, I know what's right, and the things that I stand for aren't, so like whimsical or out of off the planet kind of
Right.
stuff. Like,
Right.
okay,
Right.
this is like you can't do this. These are things that I feel, very emotional about, and they're
Sure.
thoughtful, and like, hey, and people say no sometimes because it's just more stuff that they have to do.
True. True.
Right. Like I'm just so busy. I can't do that. I'm like, okay, well, how can we work it out so that it doesn't make you do more work?
Right. Right.
Right. Like, let's think about what that is. And so when I come back to people that way, then they'll listen. I just did that. We've acquired some new reps, and they came back to us like, well, we've got a lot on our plates, and we've got too many products. And so I'm like, okay, like, there's some reps that I absolutely felt were the right fit, and we had to get them. So I made the
Yeah.
call and I said, look, why are you saying no?
Yeah.
Explain that to me. And then I explained myself, right? And I get them, right? And they're like, yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
I have no defense to that, right? And again, I'm doing that in the nicest way possible.
Hmm.
It's not being rude or inconsiderate or insulting anyone,
It's
right?
problem solving. It sounds like you're
It's
problem
problem
solving. Yeah.
solving. And so the outlook, again, to answer that question directly, we have all these wonderful new products that we didn't offer before. They're all
Hmm.
still architectural glass, right? We're very focused. Anything that we do the base must be flat architectural glass. That's it.
Right.
So if it can work off of that, then we'll look at it and consider it and then promote it, right? If it's a feasible thing. But we have a lot of new things. We have a lot of new reps, and we're supporting those reps daily, right? You have to do that, right? Because they're out there. A lot of them are multi-line. They have other products, and so you have to understand, what they're doing all day, right? I call my sales managers every day, and I say, at the end of the day, what'd you do today?
Yeah. Yeah.
What are you going to do tomorrow?
Right.
Right? And it's a quick 10 to 15-minute conversation, but it leads us to resolving things. Like,
Yep.
what was your challenge today that we can maybe come up with a resolve for, and then attack it again tomorrow?
Yep. And keep moving.
Right.
Keep moving.
And that's, if you do that, you'll get what you want to get. Right.
Yeah. It's good advice for the entire industry.
Yeah. No, that is a general thing that I said
Yeah.
that pretty much, I mean, I share that with my kids, right?
Yeah.
As they're growing up and becoming adults themselves. Like, I like to, hopefully leave them with some of those kind of ideals as well. Like, don't give up.
Yeah.
Right. But do it in a way that, like, you can understand why it's challenging and then overcome that challenge.
Perfect. Perfect. This is
Life lesson.
no, life lesson. This has been great. This has been great. So to
Same.
find your stuff, we go to skyline.glass. We can go to LinkedIn, anywhere else people can look for your stuff.
Yeah, follow us on Instagram, follow us on LinkedIn. I'm mad about posting, as you know, right?
Yep.
Like, gotta have something out there. Keep it again. If you want people to know who you are and where you are, you got to tell them.
Yeah.
Right? You can't wait for them to come to you. So, we have a really robust digital strategy for that. We have a great team here of people that do that for me.
Awesome.
But yeah, we're always going to be there.
All right. And
In
I
or
will
out.
and I will see you at BEC in Las Vegas.
Yeah, yes,
This
sir.
this
You'll
comes
see
out
me in a
before
couple weeks.
BEC, so
I'm excited.
I'm looking forward to seeing you at BEC. You've been to BEC, right? Or
Yeah,
is
yeah,
this okay?
yeah. No, I've been to all the things, but
All right.
in a different,
Yeah. Now you're
capacity.
boss.
Now it's like,
Yeah.
now I get to do this. So
There's pressure on me now. I can't
no,
screw up
I
on
love my
stage.
badge. It says board member on it.
I
It's the
love it.
coolest thing in the world. I love
All
it.
right. Beautiful. Beautiful. I look forward to seeing you in Vegas. Thank you so
Thank
much
you,
for doing the
Max.
pod, Vipul. I really appreciate it.
Same. I appreciate it as well.
Thanks, sir. Thank you.
Take care.
Hey glazers and fabricators, FHC, the Frameless Hardware Company, is here to support your business. In addition to offering a complete selection of glazing tools and supplies to get the job done right, we design, engineer, and manufacture a comprehensive offering of frameless shower door systems, heavy glass doors, aluminum entrances and storefronts, architectural railings, transaction and display hardware. Privately owned and American-made, FHC prioritizes you, the customer. You now have a choice. Visit fhc-usa.com.
Okay. Next up on the From the Fabricator podcast, my good friend Tom O'Malley, managing partner, Clover Architectural Products. See them online at cloverarchitecturalproducts.com. Tom, thank you so much for doing the pod again.
Sure. Thanks for having me. Hopefully I don't bore everyone with my story again, but I appreciate the opportunity to come on and talk. It's always a pleasure.
No, I appreciate having you. And this is going to be different than the previous time that we had you on, because we're going to cover some different subjects, because you are, you're out and about. And so I'm going to pick your brain on what you see out there, which I think is really important for the rest of the industry. But before we get to that, just real quick, somebody who doesn't know you, which I don't think there's many, somebody who doesn't know you, talk a little bit about your past, and then, what Clover does, so we can, cover that, and then we can move to some other stuff.
Sure. Yeah, so my involvement, or how I got into the industry, was I worked in the summers between high school and college at Trainer Glass, pushing a broom, odds and ends, whatever they needed to go for driving deliveries. Did a little bit of fab. They didn't trust me with a lot of it, so and they were smart not to. But so I did a little bit of that, and then went on to work at a couple different companies out of college. I went to Indiana University, and then I worked at Mayor's Office of Special Events in the city of Chicago, worked on the World Cup. From there, I worked for a wine company for a couple of years doing sales and some management training. And then Bob Trainer had reached out to me about an opening at Durelco, which was a sister company of Trainer, and it'd be doing sales on a national level. And so I took that opportunity and spent 18 years there at Durelco, and kind of basically was a national sales manager, and kind of built a team, and had a little bit of ownership of the company.
Right.
And so did that. And then from there, Trainer Glass had their issues, went bankrupt, and Durelco got tied into the bankruptcy proceedings. And throughout that process was kind of weighing some different options of what I may or may not do. And was kind of presented the opportunity to kind of start something on my own. And that's what Clover kind of came from there. So I started that business with Ed Carney and Jim Stromplewski, and then a couple financial backers. And that was back, it'll be
11 years.
Yeah, 11 years.
11 years, 12 years. Sorry, I jumped on.
Yeah. No, it's going to be 11 years. It'll be 11 years. So end of March. So yeah, so that will be how we kind of got started with Clover. And Clover is an architectural metals fabricator. We get into a little bit of everything. Where we do sunshades, we do garage screens, we do cladded doors, all glass entrances. A new thing we're doing is a product called Pure Optima, which is a high-end demountable glass wall based out of the UK. We're the Midwest manager. We have Illinois, Wisconsin, Michigan, Indiana, Ohio, and then we've actually picked up that was the original 5, and they've given us Northern Kentucky, Nashville, and Pittsburgh. So,
nice.
So that's something we're doing, and with that we pick an exclusive partner in each market. Some states have their largest, so we have multiple partners, but we can only sell to them that product. They can only buy that product from us. And then 2.5 years ago, Clover bought a company called American Custom Fabrication. And from there, we kind of expanded our product offering. And from there, we started doing, we started selling interior fin tube covers and linear bar grills. We started doing custom fabrication of all different types of stainless steel, aluminum. So American Customs owner Bill stayed on with us for a couple of years. He's partly retired now after the first of the year, but he still gives us, comes in for a few hours a week to help out when needed. And with that, we kind of, get a little bit of everything. So we were able to hire a new person to kind of take over for Bill. And he's been with us for a year, and that's been great. Bill was able to kind of foster that relationship, and that person brought in a great client for us. So we do we do some like high-end restaurant type work where we're doing
Super.
like the back bars, and we're doing some retail work for clients who do like different restaurants and other stores. And then we've got into some like some of the sports stadiums where we're doing some of their team stores and stuff.
Nice.
So yeah, so it's been fun. That's been a nice addition. And kind of what sets us apart is like we like to do the standard stuff, but we are kind of known to do the custom stuff.
Right.
So we're not afraid. We have a great team of people at both Clover and American Custom. The shop at American Custom's been doing this forever. So when we brought the team over, or when we bought the company, they all stayed on, and we've added a few people. And then our core people at Clover have been with us, a lot of them from day one. So we're really fortunate. And then the other people that haven't have been, great additions and brought some other, ideas to the company.
Very cool. Very cool. I love it. Congrats. Keep rolling on that. And big fan of you and the team there at Clover. And I am worried, though, there is an opening at Indiana for a basketball coach. Are you leaving the industry to take over?
I'm not. I can't talk about that right now. So I'm under some clauses right now. But
So you're not confirming or denying your interest
correct.
in the IU job. Okay. Okay.
Correct.
The aggregators are going to pick this up. It's going to be, all over the bottom lines everywhere. Very cool. All right.
Well,
So let's go
I
ahead.
do get a lot of people telling me I look like Tom Thibodeau, the coach of the Knicks,
You
which
do.
is not really a compliment typically, but I could pass for that. So
And if he was still with the Bulls, you could be getting free dinners and stuff. You could have played that
correct.
off.
I missed the boat on that
Yes, you
100%.
did.
So.
Yes, you did. All right. So let's get into some different stuff with Tom O'Malley, Clover Architectural Products. One thing about you is I'm amazed at your travel schedule, your work schedule. Every time I talk to you, you're in a rental car, in an airport, in a hotel somewhere in this country, and so you see a ton of architects. And I know that you're seeing, glazers and GCs and so on. But on the architects, what are the trends that they're asking you about? What are they interested in? What's the hot thing in the streets with the architectural community?
I'd say one thing we're seeing a lot more of is colors that are chosen. We have several jobs where we're using multiple colors on the same facade that we're doing, just with our products alone, not let alone the curtain wall.
Right.
There's jobs where we have 2 or 3 different colors for the infill. They want to kind of set it apart. We have one job we're doing called Princeton Plasma, where we have just short of 20 colors. And
Wow.
it's going to be, and it's a nice addition. It's a nice way to kind of put a splash on the exterior facade with our product. Kind of, I often get frustrated when you have a great job and then the color chosen is like dark or it doesn't really stand out and it's hard to see your product. And so it really is kind of, it's kind of refreshing to see that they are using the different colors.
Great.
With that, we also are continuing to see a lot more use of the powder coat wood grain film.
Good.
We do quite a bit of that. We have a really good partner for that. And typically once we get on one project, we have several architects who have kind of, then brought us into their second and third and fourth job. They like to use it on their jobs in all different capacities. It's not always the same design. We've been fortunate to get on some data centers that we continue to use the same wood grain, and it's the same one over and over. What's nice about that is there's all different, typically they have, 8 to 10 standard wood grain options, and then they have a whole plethora of, it's like a keychain of 100 other colors you could choose from, and most of that film comes over from Italy. So anybody doing it over here is typically getting it from the same supplier, and then it's more just the applicator doing it in their process. I'd also say we're seeing a lot more vertical applications for the sunshades.
Okay.
So we're seeing a lot of vertical, either whether it's plate fins or perforated fins, and they're coming out, anywhere from 2 feet out to maybe 4 feet. Sometimes they're perpendicular from the building. Sometimes they're they'll throw a 45 degree or 75 degree or 15 degree bend on a 30 degree or maybe multiple different bends. So we're seeing that. And then we're also seeing vertical sunshades where it's more running vertically up the building, and it's it's a horizontal blade, but it's sticking out maybe 8 to 12 inches from the curtain wall, sometimes a little bit more, sometimes a little bit less. Kind of gives a ladder type effect to it.
Yeah.
So we're seeing a lot more of that. And that could be with extrusions, or it could be perforated metal, again running up that. I'd say with perf, we're seeing a lot more different size holes being used, different percent open. So it's not just the standard one. So we're seeing a lot more custom things where maybe it's being done on a laser or a turret for different sizes. I'd say we're seeing a lot more complex shapes. A lot more, we're definitely using our geometry for some of these jobs. Some of the projects we're on, every unit's different, which is, it makes it hard. It makes it more time in the shop, but it's what they want. They kind of want for the building, to kind of have it set apart.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. And I love how you said we're finally using our geometry, because I do remember sitting in 10th grade saying, I will never, ever need this in my life.
Well, and I'll make it clear, I'm not doing the geometry. There's other people doing it. So
I love it. So Tom O'Malley, managing partner, Clover Architectural Products. Check them out online, cloverarchitecturalproducts.com. So next up on your travels, and this one I'm really curious about, is how different is it seeing the architects right now post-COVID? Because I've heard a bunch of different things. I've heard, architects are just completely closed off. You can't get in, you can't see them. I've heard more and more coming back to work, and everything in between. What's your experience, post-COVID? Has it gotten easier? Is it harder? I mean, what's the deal out there?
I'd say exactly what you said is 100% true. It probably depends on where you're at. I kind of been liking it to, you're wearing glasses. I wear glasses, contacts as well. You go, they see the eye doctor. They say, is one better or two, or are they the same?
Yeah.
And it kind of, that's what it is. Like sometimes it's easy. It's one, or sometimes two is better, whatever. But so sometimes it's easy to get in. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes it just depends. But I think where I think a lot of them have been out of the office and they're not in, so that makes it harder. And often I'll be trying to see someone. They're like, "Oh, I'm working from home," or I work from home 4 days a week. I'm not in that day. You're coming around. We are starting to slowly see them come back in, so we are having more meetings with them that way. We've tried to adapt where, like, we're doing more Teams meetings or
Right.
Zoom meetings, and a lot of times that's all you really need, anyways. I mean, I love the face to face when we can get it, but if that's not going to work, then then you have to adapt and try to find another way in. I think where it's easier to get in is if you can give them if you're offering something to them. So like we've done work with architects and we've solved their problems and stuff. So once you do that, it's easier to get the appointment with them. If you're going to be coming in to go over your other products or discuss some things. I think we've done some events. I've done some of these events for the last 15 years where I do one-on-one meetings with architects. And that's helped me get in with some architects, whether it's with that specific architect or they've introduced me to some other players on their team. With the Pure Optima product, we can offer a CEU,
Right.
and a lot of times they want that. So that's helped us out. We've had a few architects that have allowed us to do presentations without a CEU. Those aren't as easy, and sometimes you have to really fight for those. I did that last year where I initially had it, and then they said no because I didn't have the CEU, and then I reminded them that I just worked on 6 jobs with them, sent out 6 mock-ups and samples, and spent countless hours and engineering hours helping them out. So obviously their team's using us, and I understand that the person setting those up is looking out for the whole firm of making sure they can get their continuing education. But sometimes you have to remind them of all the stuff you're doing for them, and that we are a resource, and more people do need to know what we do and how we help them. And in that specific time, that another architect really stepped up and helped me. They're like, no, we need to get Tom in to do it. And so from that point, and then like as far as the products offering something, so that Pure Optima product we offer, it has the lowest carbon footprint of any aluminum in the industry. So it's 1.9 kilograms of carbon per kilograms of aluminum, where in the US, typically the lowest you're going to get is right around 14 kilograms. So it's quite a bit different. So some jobs, they don't care about that at all.
Yeah.
So does other firms, we're starting to hear more and more about the the carbon footprint on these jobs. So they do want to know how it's affected. So I think that's something that we're offering, that they want to know about it. Or they have a really good range of STC ratings, and they're all independently tested, and it goes from like 36 to 53, and that includes the door. So if you could show them things that benefit them that they can learn about, or then it's easier to get in. So
Yeah. So it sounds like as long as you have a hook, pretty good hook, you've got a shot. Very cool. All right. Well, if you had the chance to change something in our space, you've been in it 29 years. I think it's 29 years, 18 at Duralco, or maybe even more than that, because you might be over. Anyway, if you could change something about our world, what would you change?
I'd say a couple things. One, I wish that for all the people bidding on these jobs, that the drawings and specs would match more, as far as like what we're seeing. It's some of that, I think, comes from like just the cutting back, where the firms themselves don't have spec writers, and there's specialty companies that do specs, and they're not always looking at what's on the drawings. And so I think a lot of times what happens is projects are bid, and it's there's something in the spec that doesn't match the drawings, and which one do you follow? In the old school, you always go with the spec, and nowadays, like, hey, I think they clearly drew what they want, let's go with this.
Yeah.
And you can get yourself in a trick bag, and there's all different ways. Is someone gonna, you can bid it the cheapest way and maybe get your foot in the door, or you can bid it responsible and make sure you bid what you think they want. And obviously you can ask all the questions. Sometimes some jobs, by the time we get to them, there's not time to go back for RFIs, and it's
Right.
Give me what you think. We have 2-3 days to bid the job. So I think education is a big factor of making sure that the architects know what they're looking at. So I wish there's obviously big companies that have time to go do it. That have the sales forces that just spend time with architects to go do those things. So I mean, obviously we're not big enough to go do that all the time. We do with select architects we want to work with, or we've worked with in the past. I would like to see our industry not just go with the low price and try to ram that through.
Yeah.
And with that said, I guess I mean making sure that low price. So sometimes it has everything you need, and that's the low price, and you should go with it. I mean,
Right.
someone found a better way to do it, but I think a lot of times people are taking shortcuts, and what happens is you end up losing a job. You can point it out to someone, and they can say, "Well, we already used that number." I'd love to see that come back on the irresponsible bidders, whether it's the glazing contractor or another subcontractor, and then pushing it all the way back to that vendor who knowingly bid the wrong thing or just bid whatever they wanted. And unfortunately, you point it out, but you still lose the job. There was one that just came up that I'm still in the throes on that. I went back to the architect. We had done the last building, and I did 4 other jobs with this architect. And I kind of let him know, I'm like, listen, I'm not, I'm prepared to lose work. Yes, if I spend time on the job, I for sure want to get the job.
Sure.
But I always say there's plenty of jobs I did 0 on that my client got that I got, so it all evens itself out in the long run, so you try to move on to the next one. Sure, you might be a little salty at first, but then you realize, what? I got one that someone else wanted, and what have you. So, but you try to point out to the architect that they have a client to keep happy as well, and to make sure that they're getting what they want. And again, no one minds in the end to lose to a good competitor,
right,
if you're putting out a good product. So yeah. So then, and I think in general, and I think on our side, like I think. Is more just education of people. And I know there's a lot of things out there that I know there's some classes out there, and I know when your key sponsors FHC does a good job of putting that stuff out there and doing their education. But unfortunately, there's a lot of people that still don't do those things, or don't make the time, or they can, and just don't make the time. And more and more of the people with knowledge are retiring in the industry, and it's hard to find the replacements and stuff. So I think any way to find more education.
That's huge. Yeah, and that's a must. And I know National Glass Association's working on it. There's other avenues, but you're dead on all of those things. So good stuff. Good stuff. So Tom O'Malley, we always talk, you and I, about TV, and we always talk sports. So, but I'm skipping those for the fun question this time out, because I don't want to bring up sports. It's a little ugly in Chicago these days. And so curious, your dream vacation and why? What is Tom O'Malley's dream vacation?
Well, I'd probably break it down to two things. So I'll say, like, outside the U.S., I've always seen like pictures of like Lake Como in Italy, and I guess any of those places over there where you just see like the villas and the hotels that just sit on the cliff sides, and it just, right on the water, and it just looks gorgeous and looks so serene, and they feel like, it'd be very quaint towns, and a very easy lifestyle, and something you can go and just relax, and you could, probably lose yourself in a restaurant for several hours, and
Yeah.
these small cafes and great meals, and so that's one thing I think would be phenomenal if I could do
Yep.
a trip like that.
Yep.
And then more stateside, I've always wanted to do like a trip up to the Northeast of like Maine and New
Mhm.
Hampshire and those Boston summer towns. And I've been to Cape Cod for a wedding in the fall, and it seemed great then, but it was I didn't see much of it. But like, some of those towns in Maine are just unbelievable, and just a different way of life, and it seemed like it'd be great. So
Yeah, that second one, my daughter did that last year, where she flew into Boston and then they went through, that upper Northeast area, and she loved it. So yeah, that's a great one. And I agree with you on Italy. I still got to get to England first. That's my big one. But Italy, I agree with you. The views and the scenery has to be awesome over there. Absolutely awesome. Very cool. A couple more questions for Tom O'Malley, managing partner, Clover Architectural Products. Check his place out online, cloverarchitecturalproducts.com. You can also check them out on LinkedIn. And that's one of my questions to you. You're good on LinkedIn personally. I think you're one of the better LinkedIn people out there from a personal standpoint. You're very positive. You're very active. Do you enjoy it though, or is it a necessary evil? What is your thoughts on LinkedIn?
No, I enjoy it. I think for a couple of reasons. So about a little bit over a year ago, we decided to make more of an investment in doing LinkedIn and getting things out there. And I know I'd see other companies do things, and you see posts and stuff like that. I always tried to keep up and do things, and it'd be more sporadic. And so I think when you have a routine and you set it, and so we do roughly 2 posts a week, and it can, talk about, jobs we completed, or talk about products we have, or like pure Optima stuff, or just, kind of going over different things. So that's definitely been beneficial to us. I've had people mention it to us. Hey, I saw that job, or I had a guy that we both walk our dogs on some Saturdays at a dog park, and he's not even in our industry, and he's like, "Hey, what's that thing you're doing out of the UK?" And
Nice.
so I love seeing like good friends and successes that they post on there. I love to see them doing well. I use it to kind of see, hey, you know what, so and so just took a new job over here. I better go see them, or
Right.
or vice versa. Hey, this guy just left there, and sometimes I already know it, sometimes I don't, but I better make sure I'm still good with that client, and who's taking that guy's job, and so forth. So I think it's a good way, I think, to get messages out too, and I've been actively, I'll ask people to follow our page just so they could see it, and so on and so forth. And but yeah, I mean, I definitely, it's something that you should. I think everyone should try to use to their advantage, and not everyone has to be doing a ton, but
Right.
you definitely keep yourself out there, and yeah, I mean,
Yeah, no, I think the underrated thing, like you mentioned, is being able to keep tabs on people, because that is, things move at a lightning pace, and it's nice to know who's who and where's where.
well, and I'll tell you, there's been times where I've been in to see a client, and they're like, "Oh, I forgot you guys did fin tubes. I just gave that job to someone else, or I passed on it, or I
Yeah.
didn't know. I forgot about cladded doors." So sometimes, I can't be everywhere all the time, and we don't really work. We have a couple reps we work with, but for the most part, it's myself doing the upfront stuff, and so sometimes those posts can be can be timely, and they're like, "Oh, this is great. I have a job. Let me send this over to you." I mean, and that's worth it right there. You get a project, and sometimes I'm wondering where people like, "Where did you get her name?" "Oh, I saw you post this," and I'm like, "Oh, okay, great." So.
Well, you are good at it, so keep that rolling. Keep that rolling. And one thing that you are also good at is attending BEC. And so, by the time this comes out, BEC will be about a week away. So some people will listen to this before BEC and the way to BEC, and then some, will probably catch us afterwards since these podcasts are pretty evergreen. But for BEC, for those that are still probably on the fence, those that don't know it, you've been to probably 20 plus BECs, I'd guess.
Yes. Yeah. I feel like I was one of the first, I started going to some of the first ones that were out there. And I mean, I'll be honest, I was pretty young when I first started going, and it was awkward at times because I didn't know as many people. I might know who they were, or you look at their name tags, you didn't know their face yet. And they were like, "Why is this guy staring at me?" That thing where you're waiting to talk to someone, and you're like, there's many a nights where the first year or two, I'm like, maybe I'll just go back to the room. Or maybe I'll go down to the casino. And but I was glad I did, and I stuck it out. And people are great. They're always willing to, people kind of let their guard down at those things. And they're like, "Oh yeah, sure, I'll talk to you." Or I've had people, say, "Hey, who do you want to meet? There's someone you don't know well." Or, "Yeah, let me introduce you. I'll introduce you, Tom." And so I've done the same thing, try to repay the favor and stuff. One of my favorite stories about BC is probably pretty early on. I think we had my oldest daughter, Maggie, is 21. So probably she was a young baby. And it was like Sunday around noon or something. I was talking to my wife, and I'm like, "Oh yeah, I watched Miracle on Ice today or something." And she's like, "Wait, don't you have the event?" I'm like, "Oh, it starts tonight." She's like, "Why'd you go out last night on Saturday?" And I'm like, "Oh, what am I doing? Why did I tell her I didn't have to go out the night before?" So that 2 or 3 year window of going out, early and having a little fun ended quickly for me. But but anyways, yeah, no, I mean, I definitely use it. I think it's you definitely get the who's who of of the glazing contractors there. You get some great suppliers. I use it to catch up with some people that I can't get to their office for some reason, or when I go, they're out of town. I talked to a lot of my competitors there. I'm friendly with most of them, and there's a couple that will tell me, "Hey, you're killing me. You just got these last 3 jobs," and then I'll remind them the 3 they just got, and they're like, "Oh, I didn't know you knew about those." I'm like, "Yeah, I do." So we'll have a good laugh and go from there. And but no, I mean, anybody who's on the fence about going, I mean, it's kind of a no brainer as far as I'm concerned. And especially now, it's gotten to a point where it's large enough. Even if you don't want to go to all the meetings that are, all the things, there's things that are talked about that don't really relate to me, but some I'll sit through because I'm interested just to hear about them. Others, I might use that time to duck out and grab a cup of coffee with someone. There's always people in and out of the meetings. There's some great topics. Yeah, I love when they have like the round tables and things like that. Last year they had a really good topic, about kind of mental health and stuff, and how that impacts the workplace, and those are good things to hear about. How other companies are handling things, and because every company deals with things like that, and plus it's normally in a really nice place, so that's a no-brainer from that end of it.
Yeah, NGA does a really nice job with that. So if there's still time to get there, and it is funny about when I was younger, I went the Saturday, but I'm a little different now. I get there on Sunday, and no matter what. But this year, actually, because of some travel things, I'll be there on Saturday, and it kicks off Sunday, March 2nd. So hopefully, those that are watching or listening, if you haven't signed up, please do. As Tom mentioned, some of the subjects, I mean, it's kicking off with Jeff Haber at W&W. And I mean, I think you could attest, you don't want to miss when Jeff talks.
No.
Yeah. He's spectacular.
If you go on the website, it actually shows you all the companies that are coming.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
And that alone will tell you.
And then I have to laugh. You made me laugh because, I've been doing this 28, 29 years now. And I remember getting the survey pieces back, about 20 plus 28 years ago. And one of the things that people would write back on the survey is the name tags are too small. I can't see the names on the name tag. And young brash me was like, "What do you guys want? Big, gigantic billboard?" fast forward to now, they are way too small. I can't see a thing. And I know what those people were going through. And I feel like such a heel from the standpoint of 28 years ago. I was like, oh, come on, those name tags are fine. So now I'm on the other side of it. But you're right. Name tag reading is crucial because you finally can put that face with a name, and happens every year. I always meet somebody new every year, and it's awesome.
No,
So,
sure.
last for you, Tom O'Malley, managing partner, Clover Architectural Products. CloverArchitecturalProducts.com is the website. 2025. This is always my last question to pretty much every guest that I have. What's it looking like for you guys? And again, since you're out and about, how's the market feeling out there?
So 2025, we're feeling very good about. We have a really good backlog. That said, 2024 was not a great year for us. We had four or five jobs of really good size go on the shelf or just be canceled altogether. Nothing that we had done wrong. It's just like they weren't building them or they took our product off for various reasons. And that definitely hurt. And we had some other jobs pushed to 2025. So it definitely was 2024 was tough. 2025, we're very fortunate to have quite a bit of work. I'll always say, like, it always depends what your client does. So, I mean, if your client comes in second on a job, you came in second, you didn't get it. And we've been fortunate to have our clients have some really big wins. And I mean, and a lot of our clients were very fortunate. They're very loyal to us. If they get it, we get it. And so, from that point, we're very optimistic. Don't get me wrong. There's plenty of jobs where, I know I have competition, and if someone gets it, we have to make it work and what have you. So, but I will tell you, traveling around, it definitely, there's like I'd say, like, the DC market never had a slowdown, and now it's like, there's not much going on. Or
Right.
I was in Philly last week, and there's like, there's not a lot of building going on right now, and so there's definitely still some markets that are still waiting to see what happens. And I know last year at one point Texas was not doing great. At one point, people would tell me that, and then you talk to someone else and they said, oh, it's going great. So I think it kind of depends on what types of projects and who you're talking to and what so on and so forth. But I mean, we definitely feel like our bidding hasn't slowed down. Sometimes we're seeing the jobs 2 and 3 times, but I think we've with some of our new products that we have, it's allowed us to be a little more proactive. Like, for instance, with the fin tube covers, we're picking up some clients that we didn't have before. So
Right.
Those are things that glazers aren't always asked to pick up, but when they are, they don't really know where to go, or they haven't had a lot of success with some other people. So I think we always kind of position ourselves that, hey, we get that each one could be a little different, and it's we understand how we're willing to make them custom, and we do a lot of variations of them.
I feel like you listen to me when I talk about diversifying your options, because that's the FinTube thing's a great diversity thing, diversified product aspect, because it's something people don't think about, but it can end up in our world, and sometimes our people pass on it because they don't know A, what it is, or B, where to get it.
Correct. And once you do one, they're not that difficult to do. And like some of our clients we're on our second, third, fourth job with, and they're like,
Good.
you know what? I kind of look for these now, or, hey, I'll do them. I don't fight back as hard, and so forth. And then even like with the Pure Optima product, we took that on about a year ago, and excuse me, it's just starting to take off for us. Where we have some of our clients are just starting to break through, and they're getting there. For a while, the company's been around forever, as we talked about in that one podcast. But it's only been in the States for a short window, and so that's allowed us to kind of branch out a little bit too, and and then just with our partners we're picking with that, they're all good partners we do other things with, but it kind of strengthens our relationship with some of these other companies and so forth. So
awesome.
I say, from talking to even some of my competitors from time to time, they're all kind of saying the same thing, what they're seeing.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting year ahead. I'm glad it's looking good for you. Sorry that 2024 was a little soft, but good times ahead. And I look forward to seeing you see Tom O'Malley, managing partner, Clover Architectural Products. See them online at cloverarchitecturalproducts.com. My friend, thank you so much for doing the pod.
Sure. Thanks for having me on again, Max. I'll see you at BC.
Awesome. Thank you, sir.
Thanks.
Okay. Thank you so much to Vipul and to Tom. Wonderful interviews. Really grateful for them taking the time. Good people. No doubt about that. Also good people, the folks from FHC who have sponsored this episode. Thank you to them. They've got a lot going on with their frameless shower door hardware. It's available now at everyday low pricing, the lowest in the company's history. You can count on their hinges, over 1 million cycles, tested, backed by an industry-leading 15-year warranty. FHC is always going to bat for glazers. Check them out, fhc-usa.com. Before I go, TV time, a couple things. New Reacher, the series that's on Amazon Prime. I was originally turned on to this by a few people. Really good show. Another season. Love the lead actor in that show. He's a beast. Good stuff. Reacher on Amazon Prime. And also on Peacock. As you know or may know, Saturday Night Live just celebrated its 50th anniversary. And Peacock has a bunch of different things around SNL, including a documentary like behind the scenes, including the Lost season, season 11, which was really interesting. And they have the music documentary, which is fantastic and well recommended. Some amazing musical guests and performances in the history in the 50 years of SNL. So check all that out. So that wraps it up for me. I look forward to seeing everybody at BEC next month. Got a couple really, folks I don't think you may know of. Some may not, but I think it's going to be well worth a listen. Excited to bring those to you. Thank you everyone for listening, and we'll see you soon.
Oh, the music is stopped.